Are camera shy, huh? Okay, yeah.
You don't need us in there to...
My partners in crime today here are camera shy.
Yeah.
And again, this is Brady Boy Bill, and we're visiting Avoca, Iowa.
Yep.
I've been getting diction and pronunciation lessons here, and this is kind of the entranceway here, just a part of the huge display. And we're just going to go for a wander on down the aisle and look at all the tractors. If you want to buy a toy tractor, this is a place to do it. Excuse me. Okay, let's look at all the Cub Cadets now. Jerry's got quite a... Jerry and Joyce Mez here in Avoca. He owned the Avoca implement dealer, an IH dealership, sold out to Titan here some years ago. So here we got a 70, a 100, 71, a 102, a 72, 104, a Hydro 105, a 124, a Hydro 107, 126, a 108, a 128, an 86, a 129 Hydro, 169, a 123 Hydro, and a 147 hydrostatic with a blade on the front here. Here's a 1200, 1250 Hydro, an 1100, and the little Cadet 85 riding lawnmower. Now moving into the bigger stuff, we have an international Cub Lowboy. And I would tell you the years of these tractors, but most of them aren't marked. There's a couple that are, but most of them aren't. And here's a Cub. Here's something kind of unique. It's a 1943 A14 Airport Special manufactured by Hebard Company. H-E-B-A-R-D. And here's a Farmall 130. Farmall A. And here's a B. And here's an IH 140 with the 1000 series one-arm hydraulic loader. And a Honeybee loader, manufactured by the Honeybee Company in Everly, Iowa. And here we have one of the old international hit and miss engines. A 6 horsepower job. The Avoca Fire Department's one of their former fire trucks here is an international. Here come some of the big boys. This is the back end of a 1256. You don't appreciate how big some of these tractors are sometimes until you get right up close to them. Let's see if we can sneak around behind this this other tractor here and get a bit better shot of it. Kind of unusual in that it has the narrow front end on it. Most of these later tractors had transitioned over to the wide front end. Here's the 1456, same thing with the narrow front end. Just beautiful tractors, beautiful tractors. And here's kind of a chromed out Farmall 806, which is something kind of different. This is a 67 model, by the way. It actually has the year. It's an 806 diesel. And here's a really nice 966. Okay, and let's see, I guess I can turn around and go back down this row a little bit here. We've got a Farmall 200 which is probably a 55 or 56. In the back here we have a 230, which would have been 57. I believe they started those. Here's a C. And here is a Super C. Now here is a 1950 White Demonstrator. Now in 1950 they weren't a Super C yet, so I don't know if somebody just put the wrong decal on this or exactly what the deal is, but my understanding the Super A was 1950, but the Super C's weren't started production until 51, so I don't know about that one. And next in line we have a nice little 330 utility, and it is hooked to a Hobart welder, is what that is. Okay, and here we have 656 hydro, and you can see it has the single lever up here instead of a torque, a TA torque amplifier. It has a hydrostatic, so you go forward and reverse with this tractor with just the one lever. And here's the 666 hydro version, which is a updated version of the 656. 1206 diesel, front wheel assist, and I love these. I love the big Wheatland standard tractors in general, and this 1206 is just a real honey. Really like that. Here's a 5 millionth tractor replica. This is the paint scheme that IH used on a 1066. It came down on the assembly line, and it was the 5 millionth tractor that IH built. This is a 72 1066. Here we have a 1206 row crop version with the ice cream cab, which was kind of narrow, but it was a huge improvement over no cab at all. Oh, and I love this. I love this big 806 Wheatland. That's a beauty. That's a beauty. And right next to it is a slightly newer version of the 706. It's the 756, is the 69 model. 756 diesel Wheatland. And again, it has the ice cream cab on it. Door on one side. So you'll see there wasn't a door on this side. There was a window, but the door was only on the one side. So let's just carry on down. Which way do I want to go? I guess we'll shoot down the center first. Only a couple of aisles here. Here's a little IH Fairway 12. Very small tractor, very small. Here's the 012, which was the Orchard version. It has the sheet metal covered tires. Next door is a B275 diesel. I don't know if those were imported into the United States. I believe they were imported into Canada, so they're kind of a rare beast around here. Here's an early International Harvester crew cab pickup, so something that's pretty common these days. It's fairly rare back then. Nice little 240 row crop. And here's a Scout, IH Scout, that's in beautiful condition. I don't know if it's been restored or if it's just a nice original. And here is something that's fairly rare, 350 diesel. Okay, and here's a W450 diesel. Really good condition. 350 utility. And you can see the taller tractor right next to it is a 350 high utility. So to make the tractor set up a little bit higher, and I hope you can see that from the video, the spindles, the front spindles, as you can see, they stick up quite a bit higher on the high utility, and they went to the taller tires, taller wheels, to get the extra height. Here's a 660 diesel. An AV, V standing for vegetable, and they get their added height. You can see with the taller wheels. You can see they got a modified wheel assembly. And here's a 100 high clearance. The 100 was the follow-on, the 100 series follow-on to the letter series. And here's kind of an interesting tractor. It's a International 600 diesel. And this particular tractor was Joyce's father. Belonged to Joyce's father, Joyce Mez, the other half of the Jerry and Joyce team that own this beautiful museum here. And here's another 650 diesel. And here's a 656 high clearance. That's a fairly rare tractor as well. Here's a W400, which is a Wheatland style tractor. The front axles did not adjust. It was mostly drawbar or trailing implements. And here's the big boy, 400 high clear. Jerry's got some nice high clearance tractors. Here's a Super MV, and it has the big tall spindles in the front. You can see it, and then has the big wheels on the front. Here's an 816 Junior, a really early tractor from International Harbor. Probably this was built in the teens. So, and there's a Mogul 816, which is an earlier version of this 816. Here's probably one of my favorites in the whole museum, an 856 high clear. You just don't see many of the high clear tractors in the later versions. Here's a Farmall regular. So this would have been one of the very early Farmalls before the F20 and the F30s and those other tractors came out, and they weren't called the Farmall regular at first, but they started calling them a regular to distinguish them between from the F20, the F-series tractors. And here's an HV. Here's an F12 on steel wheels, which is pretty common back in the early days. Here's a Super HV. And here's an F20. Here's a 340 high clearance tractor. This would have been a late 50s, early 60s tractor when those came out. Here's a little T340 crawler. And here's something kind of interesting. Won't be able to get it all in one shot. A specialty tractor. Let me go around here and see what it says about this. That's an F20 custom tractor made with high wheels to pull 3/5 disc wheat drills to seed winter wheat in standing corn. So used in the late 30s and 40s with the 42-inch rows. Huh. That's quite the quite the beast. Quite the beast. Yeah, the mechanics of this thing are kind of cool. Kind of cool. Okay, across the aisle we have a 664 utility tractor. Not many of them. It was kind of a short production, fill in the production line kind of a tractor. And here's a 656 high clearance. And here's a nice old H. Avoca Implement Company's 60th anniversary, 1943 to 2003, Avoca, Iowa. And that's the implement company that Jerry Mez owned. Started by his father back in '43. Here's a nice 450 high clear. A 350 diesel high utility. This is a 57 model. They call it the Wheatland Special, is what it is. As you can see here. Okay, there's a 504 high clear. It's even got the fenders on it. Most of the high clearance tractors here don't have any fenders. You can see that lever right there on the left side, right behind the headlight, is the TA torque amplifier. Pull that bad boy back if you wanted to reduce your speed and gear down a little bit. Over here is a 58 460 Wheatland. So the 460 you could get in the row crop or the Wheatland, and they did a utility version of the 460 as well. An MV. Here's a cool tractor. I really like this. This is the 1960 560 gas tractor with a front wheel assist, mechanical drive. You didn't see that much of that in the early days. Okay, here's a 300 high clearance. Now let me back up here and show you something kind of interesting. The early high clearance tractors had a cast front end. See, it's an arched front end, so that distinguishes it from the tube adjustable front end. You can see the holes in there. You could adjust the width of the front tires, and in this tractor you couldn't. It was solid. Now here's just a gorgeous 560 diesel. So let's wander around here. You can see the walls in this place are just covered with memorabilia, pictures, advertising out of magazines. It's pretty amazing. Now another thing that I find fascinating about this museum is Jerry has quite an extensive collection of industrial tractors, and usually they're identified by the series number starting with a 2. This is a 2 424 Lowboy. It's a 68 model, and of course the yellow paint. They didn't necessarily need to be yellow. You could order tractors, and municipalities would order tractors in just about any color, and I suppose if you ordered enough of them and threw enough money at them, they would paint them any color you wanted. So we have that. Over on here, this side we have a 2806, which is the industrial version of the 806. This is a 64 model. Gorgeous tractor. Here's a 2856. This is a 68 model as well. Oh, I'm sorry, the previous one was a 64. This is a 68. Really, these are big boys. These are big boys. And over here we have a 2404 utility. It's a Lowboy. Looked like it was probably used on a golf course with those turf tires. And this says just 404. So I don't know exactly what the deal is with the nomenclature. Here is a 1972 1468 huge beast. Really like these. These are quite a collector's item these days. And here's a 2444. This is a 64 model. And usually, in addition to the paint job, they would have some distinguishing features that you could get on the industrial that that you couldn't on the standard tractors, like maybe a foot throttle, something like that. Here we have a 1568, which is a 74 model. This was the follow-on to the 1468. That's actually, I believe it's a 550 IH truck engine. Well, let's see. Yep, it's a 550 V8 diesel. So somebody else started building a V8 engine tractor, so International Harvester had to get in the game. Here's an AI, an A industrial. Now this is fairly distinctive on these. That distinguishes them from the regular A. You can see it's got a boxed front axle, and you can see the little pedal down between the brake pedals. That was a foot throttle. So, and here you have what the heck is this? Oh, it's a T4 crawler. Over here we have a 706 LP gas. LP seem to be quite popular in the southern states. Didn't see very many of them up in Michigan, up in Brady Township where I'm from. So, and here's a hydrostatic drive 2400 Series B tractor with turf tires. Again, may well have worked on a golf course. Here's a 544. Here's a Cub Lowboy 185 and a 154 Cub Lowboy. Here's a Super WD6, the D distinguishing it as a diesel. Here's an I4, an industrial 4. Here's an M with a distinctive front end, but I'm not sure exactly what it is. I've seen it before and I've read about it, but it doesn't come to mind exactly what it is. I don't know if it'll say anything about it on the identification stand here. Yeah, there's a blurb about each of these tractors, giving you quite a bit of information about them. Not necessarily the year, but information about them. Here we have another selection of, well, before I go there, the brake area, which obviously has a lady's influence. And here's a pink 682. This is a memorial special. So here's a little cadet decked out in the Spirit of 76 paint scheme. Cub Cadet 73. Okay, here's something kind of interesting. 400 Farmall 400 diesel with the electrol attachment. Now back in the mid 50s and in the 40s, electricity wasn't necessarily available out in the country. So this was International Harvester's answer to the problem. They built these, and you could generate electricity to run milkers or what have you, take care of other electrical needs on the farm. So that's what the electrol is about. And here's a Super H. Oh, and here's a frame mounted, a cart mounted electrol run by the PTO. Here's some jazzed up pullers, Cub Cadet pullers. Kind of interesting, and it looks like somebody's done pretty well. They've got a lot of trophies down here. Here's a 63 706 Wheatland, a diesel model. Here's the 460 row crop. Remember earlier we saw the 460 Wheatland. And here is a 39 Farmall M. 39 was the beginning of the what they call the letter series. The M's, the H's, the A's, and the B were the first letter series tractors to come out, and that was in 1939. So in 1939 you could buy a brand new, fresh off the assembly line F20, or you could buy a brand new, fresh off the assembly line M. There was a bit of overlap there. So here's something kind of cool. This is a 1968 3400 industrial loader. And we're getting into some of the big stuff here too. Here's an LP 300. And this is a blacktop chipper, an IHC 1091 cubic inch displacement engine. Wood manufacturing company, Hollywood, California. So something productive and useful has come out of Hollywood. I didn't mean to be too insulting to all those wonderful actors in Hollywood. Sarcasm intended, folks. Anyhow, so anybody wants to go into the blacktop chipping business, there you go. Here's a nice little 340 row crop. Here's a 506 row crop. They did this tractor, as many of these tractors, the 340, the 300, the 504, they did a row crop and a utility version as well. And here's something kind of interesting. It's they got a Super HTA emblem on it, but no such tractor was ever in production. I think they made at least one, maybe a couple of prototype models, but it ended up never making it in production. The only TA that made it into production in the letter series was the M. And then in '55, the 300, the 400, the 100 series tractors came out, and they had a TA was a regularly obtainable option. So, and for our English friends, here's a B450 diesel, which is kind of the British version of the M, but with a diesel engine. And here's a nice 560. This is a 58 model. I think they were about 58 was the very first year, and they went through, I think, 62 model year. Here's just a gorgeous 1086. This is a big boy. This is a big boy. Big tractor, nice cab. Creature comforts were really starting to make themselves known here. I'm not sure what type. There are a couple of different companies. Elwood and Coleman, I believe, made front wheel assist mechanisms for these, and I'm not sure. I think this is an Elwood, but I wouldn't swear to it. And I try not to swear so much anymore. Here's a beautiful 4156. And its predecessor was the IH 4100. Four-wheel drive tractors. They weren't articulated, but the front and rear steering was independent. You could have just front wheel steering, you could have four-wheel steering. You could crab, which means you could have the front and the back wheels kind of steering in the same direction. Let's see if I can even hope to get it all in a big tractor. Maybe I'll see if I can get Jackie to let me up on there again. Anyhow, this was one of the buildings, and I'm going to take a little bit of a break here, and then we'll be going through this doorway right here on my left and heading over into another building, another section. Again, this is Brady Boy Bill Karras. On my way from Spokane, Washington to the Red Power Roundup in Sedalia, Missouri. Thought I'd stop off in Avoca here to check out Jerry and Joyce Mez's Farmall Land. Farmall Land USA. Okay, we're sitting on top of the big IH 4156 that we saw a moment ago, and we're just going to get a little kind of a bird's eye view of all the tractors in the area. There's all the 1206s over there, and here's that 1086 front wheel assist with the cab on it, and the big turbos over there, the fire engine. Pretty amazing. It's easy to fritter away quite a few hours here. Here's the 4100 right behind us. This has the black top chipper hooked to it. Just kind of amazing. Just kind of amazing. I definitely highly recommend coming here. Anybody gets to Avoca, Iowa, for whatever reason, take at least a half a day and come here. He's got a little bit of something for everybody's taste. Okay, well, I think maybe now I'll take a break and we'll go to the second building.